If a person is convinced they can reach their potential with you, they stay. If they're not convinced they can reach their potential with you, they leave. In sports, I hear people say this all the time. I hate the transfer portal. Oh, it's ruined college basketball. It's ruined college sports. The transfer portal is bigger than sports. Anytime an employee quits and leaves, they basically went into a portal. To win in sports, you have to have a veteran locker room. Which means we've been around, we know the program, we know the system, I know my role, let's go win a championship. And that's how you go and build great organizations.
You taught us an equation today, and one thing I love when you talk about how a lot of businesses, they get frustrated, they kind of start to blame people and things that are external, things they can't necessarily control. You talk about how criticism is when a leader, not a coach, has no rapport, does not invest in building confidence, but delivers truth. It could be with love or not. If you don't have rapport or confidence, that's criticism.
That is so common, for leaders to brag about how they're a straight shooter and they don't play. But that same leader complains about high turnover and apathy. And a lot of times that leader doesn't realize they're a C student. In terms of being a great coach. So a great coach knows how to build rapport. A great coach knows how to build someone else's confidence. Because if you really think about it, there's a lot of average performers that just need some tutelage, some support, some confidence. And to me, if I'm going to be a great leader, it's about me rising everyone. And if I can get my hands on some talent and some ability, it's my job to help them become the best version of themselves. And so typically, when I get my hands on some leaders, even if it's a manager, then they don't have to be the CEO or the VP, but if you're a manager, a supervisor of any role of leadership, you need to learn how to develop others, and the way you do that is through our formula that we teach at Peak Performance Huddle.
So the first part of the formula is building that rapport.
Absolutely.
Who are some examples from your sports career or from the public sphere that leaders could emulate that do a great job of developing rapport?
I'll give you three great examples, two sports and one business. My college basketball coach, Clem Haskins. Honestly, after practice and after games, he rarely talked about basketball. He talked about life. And, he would encourage us to put on a suit and go talk to the boosters because someone that's going to give you a job. And it's kind of cool. Like, he worked as hard in practice, don't get me wrong, but as soon as practice was over, he talked about life. And it really helped us mature and realize that basketball is only a part of our lives. Jerry Sloan, I played for him in Utah.
I love it.
Love Jerry Sloan.
You go back to my roots there.
He was an intense competitor. He was a great coach. But when we were on the plane or in restaurants, he loved to laugh and joke. And I became the team comedian and team clown. I kept Jerry Sloan laughing. And I figured as long as I keep him laughing, I'll keep a job. But, it was fun to, have a coach who was intense on the court and in practice, but off the court, just have fun and just be normal people. So those are two examples of great coaches I played for that were intense. They were great coaches and they wanted to win, but when they were outside of basketball, they were normal, just normal human beings that like to laugh and joke and have a good time. And that's what I mean about building rapport. We would talk about all kinds of topics, and it wasn't just all about basketball.
So life in general, one component of rapport, though, is pouring into the individual, right? It's caring enough to invest. For those leaders that see people turning over or positions turning over, who have been around, Chris Eppenfeld, he's been around with the organization for a long time. He does a great job of developing leaders. I've asked him this before. How do you continue to pour into people when you're not totally sure if that person is in the right place at the right time? Like, there's an element of trust that has to go into that as a leader initially. What are some advice you give to leaders about rapport when you're not totally sure?
Well, the truth is, when you're a great coach, people love to play for you. And in the pro game, one of the kisses of death is when a coach loses his locker room.
Oh, yeah.
And you hear that term a lot. A lot of people don't know what that means. That basically means that players don't believe in him anymore. And so it's important to build rapport. It's important to build confidence, to keep that connection with your players because that's your job to serve them. But if you're a leader that doesn't really want to serve the players, it's easy to break rapport. So I teach any leader of anything, you got to build rapport, which is simply a connection with the person you lead. You got to let them know you believe in them. So if you build rapport, there's a relationship. If I know you believe in me, my God, people will take a bullet for you. But if you don't build rapport, if I don't believe you believe in me, then I don't have a trust in you either.
Beautiful.
And then that's when we have turnover, right? And that's when we have apathy. And that's when people just go to work and it's just a job and I'm just going to get by. But when you're going to have an electric environment, you have to have rapport building. You have to have confidence building sessions. And then you have to have the honest conversations. And it's received better. And my corporate example is our biggest client. And I'm sure it happened here at Zeigler. You know, I haven't been here long enough to see it, but I know just based on where you are in the industry, you guys are doing it internally, so I trust that. But, you know, we have a franchise client called Jersey Mike Subs, and I just came from their national conference. Coach K was a keynote speaker, and I closed it. I was the closing speaker. I emceed their banquet. But they have great rapport, and I've watched the founder, Peter Cancro, build it. And I tell people, that dude collects people. I mean, you constantly see him recruiting. You constantly see him building confidence. You constantly see him connecting with people. And literally, it's like double-sided sticky tape. You know, once you get around him, you know, it's contagious.
So building rapport, being brutally honest in love, once you've built confidence, what's a key, you know, as you think about this gentleman from Jersey Subs, what's something that he does to build confidence in members of his team?
I mean, he'll send a text, you know, to a random kid who makes sub sandwiches. And they're like, oh, my God, Peter, text me today.
He knows who I am.
Yeah.
And, when does that happen?
They hired 2 of my kids, and my kids will call me, oh, my God, Peter called me today. Peter texted me today. You're talking about 10,000 people. And he has an incredible rapport-building approach. And I think that's his main gig. He just loves people. He loves to see people win. He loves to help people win. And to me, that's the heart of the coach. And that's the mission I'm on, to really turn bosses into coaches, because all your problems as a leader can almost be traced back to you. And so what happens, these mediocre leaders, you know, they don't get it, right? And so they're critical of the people they lead. They're frustrated by the people they lead. And they have no clue in many cases that they can change that. And they're a part of that environment and a part of their culture. I played on 3 NBA teams. I played on 1 horrible team. We had no rapport. There was no relationship. And then I went to Utah for 2 years, and it was the total opposite, right? So I saw a winning culture. I saw a losing culture. Ironically, I keep in touch with all my Utah Jazz people way more than my Dallas Mavericks people. And it was cultural, you know? And I think that when you're a part of the right culture, there's going to be strong relationships. And those strong relationships is what keep people around for a long time. So any leader who has high turnover, you know, it's because you suck, right? And you got to build relationships. You got to build rapport. And if you build someone else's confidence, and here's the key, and this is what I didn't share today. I wish I did. If a person is convinced they can reach their potential with you, they stay. If they're not convinced they can reach their potential with you, they leave. You know, in sports, you know, I hear people say this all the time. I hate the transfer portal. Oh, it's ruined college basketball. It's ruined college sports. But
Tom Izzo sat here and said that.
Well, yeah.
Because he can't be tough on those kids.
It has, but let me make another point. The transfer portal is bigger than sports. Anytime an employee quits and leaves, they basically went into a portal. I don't like it here. I'm going to leave. And so the great organizations, if you have high turnover, it's going to be very hard to make progress because you're constantly hiring and training, and no one has the accumulation of the knowledge. No one understands the culture. No one understands the way, because we're turning over so many people. It's hard to advance. To win in sports, you have to have a veteran locker room, which means we've been around. We know the program. We know the system. I know my role. Let's go win a championship. The same thing is true with companies. We have to know the program. We have to know the culture. We have to know my job, responsibility. And that only happens if I stay around for a long time. And the longer we hang around and stay, the more likelihood it is for me to understand my role and how I fit into the bigger picture. And that's how you go and build great organizations. So you have to have a sticky culture through building relationships, building rapport, and building others' confidence, and convincing them that you can reach your potential here at Zeigler, and so you don't have to leave.
So to the transfer portal, because I think it's a great comparison here. So you talked about how the leader needs to create that winning culture and needs to let people know that they can reach their potential there. You also said to the contributors, those that are part of the team, if you're in a championship culture, stay planted.
Right.
Stay planted.
Right. Absolutely.
And as great as the culture was at the Jazz, you had a chance to be part of the Bulls.
Well, you know, there's not a lot of championship cultures. You think the NFL right now. I mean, obviously the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
It's 2. right? Out of 32 teams, there's only 2 teams that can say we have a championship culture. And so in business, it's hard to get an opportunity to play for a champion. I was fortunate. I had an opportunity to play for the Chicago Bulls, and I walked away from it. So playing for a winner is cool if you never get a chance to play for a champ. So my point was, if you ever can upgrade from a winner to a champion, you got to take advantage of it. But if the winner is the best shot you got to make the most of that, because sometimes you can turn that winner into a champion. But I walked away from a championship opportunity, and it's something I regret. Got a chance to play for a winner. Utah was amazing. But you know what? For 5 days, I was inside the beast of a champion, the belly of that beast. And I could tell in those 5 days, there was a subtle difference between a winner and a champion. If you ever get a chance to play for a champ, I think you take advantage of it.